I'm 62 years old, and I've been getting my health wrong for over 3 decades. I'm not dying. Not yet. But I'm also not who I thought I'd be at this age. I thought I'd feel strong, sharp, clear. Instead, I feel like I've spent half my life fighting my own body, and the other half pretending I knew what I was doing. I didn't. And the worst part is, I could have avoided most of it. I was stubborn. I thought I knew better. I read the books, followed the trends, bought the products. I did everything except stop and listen to what my body was actually trying to tell me. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to tell you what I did and why I wish I hadn't. Maybe you'll hear something I didn't. The first mistake started in my 30s. I used to take over 100 supplements a day. I know how that sounds, but I believed in them. I had chronic fatigue that wouldn't quit. I couldn't sleep through the night. My joints ached in ways that made me feel older than I was. I thought if I could just find the right vitamin, the right mineral, the right combination, I'd finally feel better. So I lined them up on my counter every morning, bottles and bottles. Different colors, different sizes. I'd swallow them in handfuls with water, convinced I was doing something good for myself. I wasn't. Because while I was taking all those pills, I was still eating garbage. Fast food on lunch breaks, processed snacks at my desk, frozen dinners at night. Whatever was easy, whatever was quick. I thought the supplements would make up for it. They didn't. No amount of vitamins can fix a foundation built on junk. I know that now. But back then, I was convinced I'd found a shortcut, that I could keep living the way I was living and just pill my way to health. I went vegan for a while because someone told me it would help with the inflammation. And maybe it works for some people. I'm not saying it doesn't, but for me, I was always hungry, always tired. I kept waiting to feel lighter, cleaner, like everyone said I would. Instead, I just felt worse. I didn't understand it at the time, but I needed protein, real protein, the kind that comes from animals. My body needed fat, not the synthetic kind from bottles, but the kind that comes from actual food, meat, eggs, fish. It took me years to figure that out. Years of feeling weak and blaming everything else. The weather, my age, stress, anything but the diet I was following. When I finally started eating animal protein again, something shifted, not overnight, but slowly. I had more energy. My muscles didn't ache as much. I felt fuller, more satisfied. I wish I hadn't wasted all that time convincing myself otherwise. The second mistake was the detoxes. I chased them like they were miracles, like they were the answer to everything wrong inside me. Every few months there'd be a new cleanse making the rounds. Juice fasts, herbal teas, master cleanses with lemon and cayenne pepper. I'd do them all, thinking I was purging toxins, resetting my system, giving my body a fresh start. What I was actually doing was flushing out everything good. My gut bacteria, my electrolytes, my energy. I'd feel terrible for days, dizzy, irritable, starving. My head would pound, my stomach would cramp. But I told myself it was part of the process, that it meant the detox was working, that I was healing. I wasn't healing. I was just making myself sick. One time, I tried a gallbladder cleanse I read about on some health forum. Olive oil and grapefruit juice, something like that. You were supposed to drink it all at once and then lie on your right side. I was so sick I couldn't leave the bathroom for 2 days, sweating, shaking, convinced I was going to end up in the hospital. But even after that, I didn't learn. I just moved on to the next cleanse, the next promise. I kept thinking that if I could just do one more detox, one more reset, I'd finally feel clean, finally feel right, finally fix whatever was broken inside me. But you can't detox your way out of bad habits. You can't juice fast your way past years of poor choices. I wish I'd known that at 30 or 40 or even 50. The third mistake was waiting. When I was younger, I told myself I'd eat better later. College was busy. Work was demanding. Life was happening all around me, and food was just fuel. Something to get through the day. I lived on bagels and pasta and coffee so strong it could strip paint. Cheap, fast, easy. I told myself it was temporary, that once things settled down, once I had more time, once I wasn't so stressed, I'd start eating right. But things never settled down. There was always another deadline, another project, another reason to put it off. And by the time I finally tried to change, the damage was already done. My energy was shot. My metabolism was broken. My body didn't trust me anymore. I think about that a lot now. How much easier it would have been to just start earlier, to make small changes when I was younger, when my body could still bounce back. Instead, I waited, and waiting cost me. I tell myself I didn't know better, and maybe that's partly true, but mostly, I just didn't want to deal with it. I wanted to believe I had more time. The fourth mistake was ignoring the signs. For years, I had this pain in my right shoulder, dull, persistent, always there. Some days worse than others, but never fully gone. I thought I'd pulled something, slept wrong. Maybe an old injury from carrying something heavy. I tried massage, stretching, heat pads, ice packs. Nothing worked for more than a few hours. I accepted it. Told myself it was just part of getting older, that everyone has aches and pains. It wasn't until much later, after other problems started showing up, that I found out it wasn't my shoulder at all. It was my gallbladder. Referred pain, they call it. Your body sends the signal to the wrong place, and you spend years treating a symptom instead of the cause. My gallbladder, my bile ducts, things I never thought about, never paid attention to, slowly getting worse while I rubbed my shoulder and wondered why nothing helped. I wish I'd asked more questions. Wish I'd pushed harder to find out why the pain wouldn't go away. Wish I'd connected the dots sooner, but I didn't. I just accepted it and moved on. And by the time I figured it out, the problem was bigger than it needed to be. The fifth mistake was dismissing intermittent fasting. I ignored it for years, thought it was a fad, another trend that would come and go like all the others. I didn't understand how anyone could skip breakfast and function. Everyone said breakfast was the most important meal of the day. How could skipping it possibly be healthy? But eventually I tried it. Not because I believed in it, but because I was desperate. Nothing else was working. I was overweight, tired, puffy. I'd tried everything else. So I started skipping breakfast. Just coffee in the morning, nothing else until noon. And it worked. The weight started coming off, not fast, but steady. My face looked less puffy. I could see my jawline again. I stopped feeling like I needed to eat every 2 hours just to stay awake. My blood sugar stabilized. I wasn't riding that constant wave of hunger and crashes anymore. No more mid-morning slump. No more afternoon fog. It wasn't magic. It was just giving my body a break, letting it rest instead of constantly digesting. I wish I hadn't waited so long to try it. I wasted years eating all day long, thinking I was doing the right thing, thinking I needed fuel every few hours or my metabolism would slow down. But my metabolism was already slow from years of constant eating, constant insulin spikes, constant storage mode. Fasting gave it a chance to reset, to burn what was already there instead of always storing more. I could have started this 10 years earlier, 15 years earlier, and I'd be in a completely different place now. The sixth mistake was the kale shakes. I drank them every morning for almost a decade. Big, thick green smoothies, loaded with fiber, loaded with fruit, spinach, kale, banana, berries, almond milk, chia seeds, sometimes protein powder. I thought I was being healthy, thought I was doing everything right, but I was bloated all the time. My stomach hurt. I felt heavy, not light, gassy, uncomfortable. I kept thinking it would pass, that my body just needed time to adjust. It never did. Too much fiber, way too much. My gut couldn't handle it. And too much sugar from all that fruit. Even natural sugar is still sugar. And I was blending up 3 or 4 servings in one glass. And not enough protein. Not the kind my body needed anyway. I thought vegetables were the answer to everything. That if I just ate enough greens, everything else would fall into place. Turns out, they're not. Now I eat eggs in the morning, meat, simple food, and I feel better than I did drinking those shakes. My stomach settled. The bloating went away. I'm not hungry an hour later. I have steady energy through the morning instead of that spike and crash. It took me way too long to realize that more isn't always better, that sometimes simple is what works. The 7th mistake was ignoring magnesium. I never thought about it, not once. It wasn't on my radar. I was focused on calcium, vitamin D, omega-3s, all the things people talk about, all the things they tell you to take. But magnesium, nobody mentioned it. And I was deficient for years. Kidney stones. That was the first sign, though I didn't know it at the time. Horrible pain that came out of nowhere, then muscle cramps. My calves would seize up in the middle of the night, jerking me awake. I'd have to stand on the cold floor and wait for it to pass. Terrible sleep. I'd wake up 3, 4, 5 times a night. Never felt rested, always dragging through the day. Fatigue that wouldn't go away no matter how much I rested, no matter how much sleep I tried to get. All of it tied back to magnesium, or the lack of it. Our water doesn't have it anymore. The minerals have been filtered out. Our food is grown in soil that's been stripped and depleted. We're not getting it the way we used to, and nobody talks about it. I started supplementing and things changed. Not overnight, but slowly. The cramps stopped. I started sleeping through the night. The fatigue lifted, just a little at first, then more. I wish someone had told me sooner. Wish it had been on the list of things to check. But it wasn't, and I suffered for it. I'm 62 now, and I can't get those years back. I can't undo the damage I did to my gut, my metabolism, my joints. I can't go back and eat better in my 30s, or skip the cleanses in my 40s, or start fasting in my 50s. What's done is done. The gallbladder issues are chronic now. The inflammation is managed, not cured. The weight I lost took twice as long to come off as it would have if I'd started earlier. I look at old photos sometimes. Me at 35, 40, 45. I look tired even then, puffy, uncomfortable in my own skin. And I remember thinking I had plenty of time to fix it. I didn't. Time kept moving, and my body kept keeping score. But I can tell you what I learned. And maybe if you're younger than me, you won't make the same mistakes. You don't need 100 supplements. You need real food, whole food, the kind that doesn't come in a bottle. You don't need cleanses. You need consistency, small, steady choices that add up over time. You don't need to wait for the right moment, because the right moment is now, even if it's imperfect, even if it's small. And you need to listen, not to the trends, not to the noise, not to the influencers or the forums or the people selling you something, but to your body, because it's been trying to tell you something all along, in the aches, in the fatigue, in the weight that won't come off, and the sleep that won't come easy. I didn't listen, and now I'm paying for it. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just telling you what I wish I'd known, because I don't want you to be sitting where I am in 20 years looking back, wishing you'd started sooner. The time you have now won't last. It feels like it will. It feels like you've got forever to figure it out. You don't. I thought I did, and I was wrong. If this meant something to you, I'm glad. If you heard something in here that you needed to hear, then it was worth saying. If not, that's okay too. I just hope you don't have to be 62 to figure it out. I hope you start now, today, with one small thing, because that's all it takes. One thing, and then another, and then another. I wish I had,